So on tonight's NBA Rundown, we are going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm going to talk a lot about how the NBA script writers apparently have stolen some scripts from the good folks over at Scrubs. You know, that TV show which has been off the air for quite some time. The best way to describe a Scrubs episode is just simply to use two words: dark humor. And that is exactly what this poor Philadelphia 76ers season has absolutely turned into at this point. I watched every minute, I watched every freaking second of tonight's game, and I can tell you the tension was literally coming through my television tonight. I thought the head coach, Nick Nurse's head was going to explode at numerous times tonight. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and what they could possibly do to turn this thing around. They lost tonight in Memphis, 117 to 111. I guess the good news is they actually played a little bit better on the scrub news of the night. That's right, the medical news of the night for the Philadelphia 76ers. Poor Paul George, who finally had a chance to play with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey on the court at the same time, started the third quarter and hyperextended his left knee and left the game. He knew immediately what had actually happened. It is just a horror of one problem after another for this Philadelphia 76ers. We are going to talk about them, potentially what they could potentially do to fix things. I've got a Nick Nurse post-game press conference, which is absolutely worth watching a little bit of. And you can see what I mean by his head is about to explode. So we'll play that for you. I've got all of that, and trust me, a whole lot more coming up on the NBA Rundown on a Wednesday night. All right, new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And of course, like this video. We also have our audio version of the NBA Rundown out now. It's in podcast form everywhere that podcasts are available. Please go ahead and subscribe. And of course, hit the star rankings on that if you can. That would be greatly appreciated. All right, so on to tonight's game, and we'll get into the Nick Nurse press conference for you here in just a second. But look, you can't blame Joel Embiid for the Philadelphia 76ers loss tonight in Memphis. 35 points for him. You can't blame the rookie, Jared McCain, who, quite frankly, was really impressive. He hasn't missed a single free throw yet. 27 in a row to start his career out. Another 20-point night for him. And then there's the Frenchman, Yabusele, who had 17 points in just 19 minutes of playing time tonight. And for the life of me, I do not understand why Nick Nurse did not play Yabusele more in the second half of the game. Maybe if you're a Philadelphia 76ers fan, you can explain that to me. I know we were trying to get Tyrese Maxey back into the mix, and Tyrese ended up playing 20 minutes. We knew it was going to be limited minutes tonight for Tyrese. He scored 8 points. And yes, you could tell he was sort of struggling from the field. He'll be fine once he's fully recovered from the injury. And yeah, it was sort of nice to see Paul George out there with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But I want to point out that Paul George scored just 2 points. Just 2 points in the 17 minutes of National Basketball Association basketball he played tonight. I wonder if he'll talk about that at all on Podcast P. Look, at the end of the day, looking at this Philadelphia 76ers team, I have a couple ideas about how they could actually improve and maybe find a way to get a win or two every once in a while. But at the end of it, when it's all said and done, this is just one of the most shocking poor starts to an NBA season for a team that I was expecting a lot out of that I can remember, I think, really ever. I mean, this is just absolutely shocking. And so I have some advice for Nick Nurse, assuming he survives the week. I will I will certainly provide him with some advice here. Look, I've got that coming up for you next, but first we're going to play the Nick Nurse press conference for you. Back with some thoughts in a bit.
It's certainly not easy, Tyrese just getting back and didn't really have a feel tonight, and Paul going out. Certainly not easy, but I don't think we didn't put enough together again for 48. I thought again we just got kind of out hustled, just out athleted, out toughed a little bit at the basket in the first half. Second half was obviously better as far as that. It's just searching for lineups that would be able to go out there and play a little more physical and play a little bit better together, etc. There's just a little bit too late for that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was Nick Nurse. I swear, literally, head exploding at some point. If he was in South Park, it would have happened by now. And instead of, oh my gosh, we killed Kenny, it would be, oh my gosh, we killed Nick again, because that is just what it feels. It feels like absolutely torture for him and the coaching staff at this point. We heard about the player interviews, and Shams came out and reported about some of that stuff as well. And it's just more fodder, if you will. There was a post put out by the CEO from the boardroom a little bit earlier in the day, and I'm posting this right here. It's a Rich Kleinman who has done a fabulous job running the boardroom, and he talks about in this particular post, which of course is liked by LeBron James, but he talks about the national media spending too much time trying to be negative, using negative takes to create clicks. And so I thought I'd just share that with you guys. And when you think about this particular basketball team, Rich, and you think about this Philadelphia 76ers team, how could you be positive about anything? Look, our picture here says UGG, and yeah, I mean, we're trying to be catchy and we're trying to be funny, but at the end of the day, that is what it is. It's not my fault the Philadelphia 76ers, Rich, are playing as bad as they're playing. Look, at the end of the day, this all comes down to two people that ultimately matter the most. And I'm not talking about the player, I'm talking about the general manager and the head coach. And I guarantee that the GM's head won't roll. It will be Nick Nurse's head that rolls first. So a little word of advice for you, Nick, at this point, as you head into the next part of this particular season. You've got a loosening up of schedules. The schedule gets a little easier for you here down the stretch. You head home and you get a couple home games in a row, which should do you some good. I mean, your next game at home is against the Brooklyn Nets. Then you have got the Los Angeles Clippers, who don't travel well. They play well at home, but they don't play well on the road. And then you got maybe what you could consider to be a pretty tough game against the Houston Rockets, but it is a home game. This is an opportunity for you at the very least, Nick, to actually win 2 out of 3 games. Now, I doubt that you're going to have Paul George there for any of this. And my advice to you is pretty simple. Keep doing what you're doing with the rookie Jared McCain. Let's get more Yabusele in, play him 35 minutes a game, and let him actually run the show until Tyrese Maxey can actually do that for you. Tyrese Maxey will be back. Use Kelly Oubre as much as you possibly can. And for God's sakes, run some actual plays for Caleb Martin. Now, the last time I checked, Caleb Martin is actually a pretty good player and a pretty good shooter. And you actually have to run specific plays sometimes to actually get him open. So start using the strengths of the players who are actually going to play that night, as opposed to trying to put a team together that's reliant on players that aren't actually going to be playing. We know that Paul George is going to be out now probably for a couple more games because of that hyperextended left knee injury. So use what you have and build strategies around that, not the other way around. It was really interesting tonight to watch the Memphis Grizzlies, who are really not a good three-point shooting team. And their strategy tonight, the reason the Memphis Grizzlies actually beat the Philadelphia 76ers tonight, a lot of it was, quite frankly, the Memphis Grizzlies coaching staff outcoached Nick Nurse and the Philadelphia 76ers. I actually put tonight's loss not on the players, but on the coaching staff in Philadelphia. The Memphis Grizzlies tonight from the three-point line were 19 for 43, 44.2%. And when you think about their strategy, they shot the ball 43 times. They shot three-pointers 43 times tonight. And they're not like the Boston Celtics, and they're not totally healthy. And they had a strategy, and they went ahead and implemented it, as opposed to the way the Philadelphia 76ers sort of looked just disjointed throughout tonight's game, which is one of the best ways I can describe their offense at this point. It's sort of a your turn to shoot type of offense at this point. There's no ball flow at all. There is absolutely nobody running around the court trying to actually get open. Now, if Nick Nurse needs some refreshers on how this is actually supposed to look, I recommend just simply taking a look at the flow of the current Golden State Warriors team. I'm not even telling them to go back and look at the championship years. I'm saying look at the current Golden State Warriors team. Look at how the current Warriors team is actually playing offense. They don't have nearly, outside of Steph Curry, nearly as much talent as you do on your Philadelphia 76ers team. So I think at the end of the day, this is actually, I've concluded as I've been doing tonight's podcast, that this is actually a coaching issue. Yes, you can put some of the blame on the players, but tonight's loss specifically was a loss that needs to go right next to the head coach's name. And in terms of Rich Klein, the CEO from Boardroom, who I absolutely love, you have to be negative when there's something that you need to be negative about. Yes, we do stories that are positive as well. We've done Rookie of the Year stories, Most Valuable Players stories, teams that are looking like they're going to be actual contenders in the league. But every once in a while, there's a negative story that, quite frankly, is negative for a reason and ultimately needs to be covered, which is exactly why I'm covering it. Now, I realize for those of you that are not watching this and didn't actually get to see the message I was talking about, go check out our YouTube channel or check us out on Spotify and watch the video there, and you can see the comment from Rich Kleiman, the CEO over at the Boardroom. All right. That's all I have for you tonight on the NBA Rundown. Thanks so much for tuning into tonight's show. I do try to keep these things as positive as possible. I mean, at least Memphis shot the ball pretty well from the three-point arc. Elsewhere, I guess, around the National Basketball Association tonight, it was a total blowout win for the Houston Rockets, 130-113. And I guess you might be asking, well, what's the Reed Shepherd watch look like tonight? And just 17 minutes and 7 points in the game. Look, I'm telling you, JJ Redick is handling Dalton Connect the way a young player of his caliber should be handled. I do not feel like the Houston Rockets are handling Reed Shepherd correctly at this point. So still lots of games going on in the association. Thunder handled the pesky Trailblazers pretty easily tonight. 109-99 was the final there. The Knicks are currently up by 20 in Phoenix, and the Golden State Warriors are up by 19 at home against the Atlanta Hawks. And the Clippers are at home against the Magic, just up by 3 right now. So there's your NBA rundown for a Wednesday. Once again, thanks so much for tuning in, and have yourselves a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
This is Phoenix.